It's Easter weekend at the Disneyland Resort, and as always, we find everything sparkly and new. But did the Anaheim Police Department accidentally let a big secret out? Two projects that mirror one another that possibly will forever reshape Anaheim. We have construction updates for you, studying the concept art to find out what's happening, and we'll let you know all about World of Color premiere dining packages, ride closures, refurbishments. It's your weekly update of everything new at the Disneyland Resort. Hey friends, welcome back to another weekly update. Everything new that I've been able to find this week out at the Disneyland Resort. I found this guy. That's right, none other than Pete R. Cottontail was there hanging out, saying hi to everybody, and look at the moves, baby. This guy is pumped up for some Easter celebration. Over at DCA, I believe this is going to be the area where you can now enter the park privately if you're staying over at the Paradise Pier Hotel. They've been working on a walkway that goes around the backside of the Grand Californian, giving that hotel access into the parks. More about that later. Over at Casa de Detalles, you can see cornhole. That's right. You'd spent $150 to come out to Disneyland to throw around the beanbags. Over in Avengers Campus, Doctor Strange has updated his show that's been running for almost a year now. Isn't it crazy? Disneyland has almost been open for a year. They've updated the Doctor Strange show. It didn't seem as if they were even close to having a show when I was there. This does fill up really quickly, and I love the way that this building matches the Guardians of the Galaxy Towers. It's a really good combination. Nighttime shows are coming back. I'm curious, is this little secret show going to come back? This is the Lagoon that's right outside of Pixie Hollow, and at night it randomly has a little show where there's tracks inside of this blue toilet water that illuminate. It plays some music. There are lights hidden over in the canopy of bushes and trees that I'm standing with my back to right now as I film this for you. It is one of the best little pieces of secret, off the beaten path Disney magic. I really hope that this is something that's going to quietly come back with all the big celebrations that are kicking off in just a week. And if we move over to things that I noticed this week, Monstro here is looking like he's got some dandruff, some dry skin, if you will. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is a future construction project because he's looking a little dry up there. I tried to jump the gate and put some lotion on his head, but Disney security didn't want to have anything to do with it. I said, that's on you then. Last week you all liked when I spotted out the projector for the Matterhorn. So this week I thought I would show you where Tinkerbell disembarks. So that's right. Riding on a zip line over to this fake tree, there is a pad inside of there. Like imagine a pad in your gym when you were a kid that, Tink just slaps right into, and then they can let her down off. You can see the stairs over there behind that camouflage canopy. So last week we looked at the projection, and this week we looked at how Tinkerbell disembarks after flying over everyone for nighttime shows. This Moon Knight artwork is fantastic. If you look at the very light versions of the personalities that are sort of transparent behind the different characters, really great promo work. And this was the best thing I saw all week. I was able to bump into this cast member, got his permission to film him, and watch him got it in slow motion. So you can really enjoy watching some of the hand lettering taking place inside of the resort. That staff that you see there, that is to keep your arm nice and steady so that your painting arm is free to go. And best merch item, the Mickey Mouse Baja, aka Drug Rug. Check it out. Released just in time for 420. And something interesting that happened this week is that the Anaheim Police Department, out of all people, were the ones that narked out or were the rat, spilling the beans that possibly OCVIBE and Disneyland Forward have been greenlight, and that's why they're looking to take on more police officers because so much more is going to be happening inside of Anaheim. The only problem is that OCVIBE and Disneyland Forward have not been confirmed anywhere else. which is a pretty interesting place for this information to come out through the Anaheim Police Department, which then got everybody kind of talking, like our good friend Peter of Ordinary Adventures saying this is not the way that Disneyland was wanting this news to get out. And then Kevin Perger over at Defunctland sort of speculated, is this A, Anaheim PD announcing Disneyland Forward before Disney, or B, Anaheim Police Department using this project as an excuse to expand its police department despite the projects not being confirmed. How dare Kevin say that a government branch would be untruthful to get more funding? How dare he say that? So let's look at the plans, because there's something that is very obvious to me here. The Honda Center becoming way more evolved and having a complete community built all around it. It's very interesting because right now, this is all just mainly a lot of parking lot space, a couple of businesses that could probably easily be relocated. But when we look at the Honda Center becoming this real heart of an entertainment space, this says to me that the city of Anaheim learned a lot from the power of Disney, how reliant they are on Disney over the span of the pandemic. I mean, they're really trying to build a big area here to bring in a lot of entertainment for both locals and tourists. But when we look over at Disneyland Forward's plans, that's when I start to realize these two designs are very similar. And ultimately, Disneyland Forward is about getting freedom on zoning laws so that in this more advanced time that we live in, it's not hard to understand how a parking lot could also be a spot where there's entertainment and hotels. Mixed-use space is the future of architecture, and you see it in every major city. If you look at this spot right here that I just highlighted, that's Anaheim Garden Walk. If that were to be purchased, you could easily see how you could go from the Esplanade down to a Third Gate or even a Disney Springs. So both of these projects are in the exact same style, which would make you think that if one got approved, the other would get approved. And with everything that Anaheim as a city learned with Disney being absent for over 400 days, it would only make sense that they would A, want to give them whatever they want, because now Disney shows that they have all of the chips in negotiation. But if they're going to give Disney what they want, can they also give the city what they want, which is just more flexible zoning all around Anaheim, which really is a playground of a city. There's so much entertainment in Anaheim, it is off the charts. So I'm going to say that both of these are happening, and maybe this is the police department putting the horse ahead of the cart. But when you look at this work, it'd be hard to imagine that one wouldn't get approved without the other, because it's pretty much the same concept, just one in the private sector of Disneyland Resort doing whatever they want on their property, and then over at the Honda Center putting in some parks, putting in spaces for lots of different businesses to sort of congregate. It's almost as if the city of Anaheim knows that Disney is going to take the Toy Story parking lot, convert it into a third gate, and use the Simba parking lot to make DCA even larger, and God only knows what they'll do with the space that sits outside of Critter Country on the backside of Disneyland. But if Disney is going to use their land, the last land that they own, to make a third gate and expand DCA, then could this be the city of Anaheim beating Disney to the punch and saying, hey, we'll make the Disney Springs for your West Coast location, because there will be no more land for Disney to go in on a massive retail area unless the city of Anaheim beats them to it. And if you really study OCVIBE, it does look like the West Coast equivalent to Disney Springs. Your thoughts below. Can't wait to hear what you got to say. I'm sure you got an opinion. Friends, can you believe we are just 1 week away from kicking off the return of nighttime shows at the Disneyland Resort, getting so close to being back where we were at in 2019. And Disney announced on May 1st, the parks are going to start resuming back to their full capacity. And here lately, it's felt pretty full, but it's only going to feel more full of citizens of Disneyland with Disneyland Forever, World of Color, the return of the Main Street Electrical Parade, celebrating 50 years of magic inside of Disneyland. So it's going to be packed, not only with people, but with nostalgia, as these three classics return to Disneyland and 1 inch closer to being back to normal. Plaza Inn will be doing a preferred seating package where you can have lunch at Plaza Inn, and then you get a voucher for a preferred seating area to see the Main Street Electrical Parade. But you will not be seeing it at the Plaza Inn. Location still pending. And speaking of Main Street Electrical Parade, I've been busy working on a documentary celebrating its history. And here's a quick look at it for you. This Disneyland story begins in two places you might not imagine. Our story begins in the state of Florida and not in California. Taking place while the Magic Kingdom was being constructed, and not on a main street like its namesake, but out at sea. 7 of them, to be exact. Inspired by the 7 Seas Lagoon out at Walt Disney World. The electrical water pageant came first on October 25th in 1971. But back in California, Disneyland needed a nighttime show and a morale boost. After so much of the company's attention had gone into creating the Magic Kingdom. But just a quick 230 days later, on June 17th, 1972, the Main Street Electrical Parade was born. Oh, friends, I cannot wait for you to see that. I cannot wait to be done with it. Putting a lot of work into that. It's going to be exciting when we finally get to show it over here on the channel. Okay, World of Color is coming back over to DCA. This is one of my favorite nighttime shows. It is going to be so important to have World of Color happening opposite of Main Street Electrical and Disneyland Forever. Therefore, it evenly dispersed the crowds between the two different parks. If you only have nighttime shows on one side of the Esplanade, the parks get real heavy. But as always, to get the best seating, there's going to be some dining packages, 3 different ones that are optioned for this event. And those dining packages are going to get you right down here in the central area where allegedly you get to see the best views. I kind of think over on the bridge is one of my favorite spots to watch this show. But aside from getting a good spot through dining reservations, it's now going to be a virtual queue to get into the blue and yellow areas that you see here on this fan-made graphic showing the spots back in 2017. And with the virtual queue, that means we're going back to the Rise of the Resistance days or Web Slinger days where you pull out your phone at noon and you try to get one while supplies last. So you have to be in the parks at noon. You have to have a park hopper if you're over at Disneyland because you can't park hop till 1 o'clock. Just another sort of added kink of all the new technology and having a Disneyland that requires everybody to have smartphones. All right, friends, let's look at the refurbishments that we have lined up at the park to give you an idea how to best plan your next visit and have your expectations realistic on what's going to be open and closed. We know that Pirates is going to open up sometime in summer, but we don't have an exact date yet. So we're assuming somewhere around June or July. I have all the chapters in today's video, so hopefully you were able to go over and watch where I looked at this project in our project tracker. But it'll be fun to see when Pirates opens up. Is anything new in there? Is there any sort of enhancements or just a standard fine tuning? Over in DCA, Luigi's was down for just a few days. It should be open up by posting of this video, but I always like to just show you what went down. So if you're out at the park, you can kind of give it a once over to see if you discover anything new. And this was something that I thought was interesting. Right now, the Silly Symphony swings are open for bags that close for humans. So if you're a trash bag full of weight going out to the park, good news, this is an exclusive ride just for you. You know, sometimes they do stuff just for key holders or cast members or Club 33, but if you're a bag full of trash, this is going to be perfect for you. And you think, oh, I'm just going to sit there in a swing. Don't worry, friend. It is fully operational. Look at all these bags of trash having so much fun, and it's cool to see in this world of inclusion that everybody gets a chance to take a ride at Disneyland, even if you're a bag of trash. Actually, what these are is before they open a ride back up for guests, they use weights to make sure that it is safe for humans. So yeah, if you're a bag of trash, I'm sorry, I just lied to you. But it was fun for a minute, right? And my apologies to the bags of trash. I already got a negative comment on that. But Blue Bayou is going to be closing for a little while. We don't know how long until it reopens, but right now there's construction walls when you sit in there, so it should be closed. It's not the full experience. And speaking of a full experience, are you ready for Space Mountain to convert over to Hyper Space Mountain? On April 28th, it will go down and then we'll reopen the next day as Hyperspace Mountain as everybody gets ready to celebrate May the 4th and Star Wars Celebration coming out to Anaheim. Got tickets for both. I'll see you there. And Tow Mater is going to go down May 9th through 12th. Another fast, quick tune-up on this attraction, which is, I'm going to say, way more fun than I thought it would be. I thought it would be like a spinning ride and it would make me sick, but I braved this attraction and I had a really good time on it. So it's going to go down for a few days, but nothing major, nothing to worry about. Just Mater doing his thing and doing it well. Are you brave enough to ride this spinning ride? I bet you haven't rode it. I bet most people who are watching this video have never been on this ride because they're too afraid of doing it. But take it from me, somebody who suffers from motion sickness, if I can do it, you can do it too. Be brave. Take a rip on the Mater. And everybody's favorite DCA ride, the Golden Zephyr, is going to be going down for 10 days to, I don't know, just basic maintenance. It would be interesting to see if this would ever actually get a theme attached to it. Other than this and the Jumpin' Jelly, are there any other attractions left now that don't have a property attached to them? That's an interesting thing to debate. Like, those are the only two that I can think off of my head, but you're smart and bright. You go to the park a lot, so maybe there's another one that I'm missing over on DCA that's just a ride with no theme, or maybe they're working on a Golden Zephyr movie. Who knows? And now these are the list of attractions that will never come back. Submarine Voyage was supposed to be back in winter and spring, and I just think they're still trying to find Nemo. And then, Tarzan's Treehouse. Who knows? And then this was a funny one. Of course, Toontown's down while they're redesigning the whole thing, but thank God they put that sidewalk in. Remember how like all last summer you could hardly get around here because of this sidewalk project? I'm so glad they got this sidewalk in so we could walk down it to go straight to that construction wall. And as I looked around the Toontown to see if there was any progress, not a lot was noticed from last week, but I do like to peer in. I'm looking for this facade to come to life, and then looking up over the bridge, I was able to look in and see there's a lot of dirt being moved around, but that's about it. I was just getting my voice all tuned up for the big performance next week. World of Color is back, which means this construction project, this rehab project, is done. Last week, we saw the final piece of the scaffolding, which was holding up all the other scaffolding. And I saw these two big boxes out front. And I said, oh, that's kind of like when you finish a job, but you still leave your tools out. But as I looked around, those boxes were gone. So engineers were off to the side working and testing the equipment. You can see some bubbling around here. So they're doing as much as they can while the park is still open and during daylight. But World of Color is going to be back. Over here was where that last piece was sitting last week that had all the supplies on it. So we finally got to understand how do they pull the scaffolding out. So bright suns for you, World of Color. I cannot wait to stand underneath your lights and hear the soundtrack and feel all those vibes. This was a fun project to follow. And then over in the Rivers of America, there's a lot less work going on right now over on the island, getting ready for Fantasmic coming back. Now, this little box popped up. This is one of those areas where during the day you just walk by, no big deal. But at night, the Disneyland roadies open up the gate that you can see there that's open, and then coming out of that is a big lighting and sound system that a cast member can actually stand on and ride up above the audience. These are hidden below ground all around the banks of the Rivers of America. But when we come back over to the other side, just a week ago on update 19, you can see how many more openings they had, how much more construction work that they had going on over there. And now when we come back to this week, which is also update 19, just caught an error there, you can see that we're down to just one of the fountains being opened up right now. So this project seems like it's wrapping up too, as this is going to be coming back at the end of May when Disneyland kicks off the summer season, as we all kick off Memorial Day weekend. So this one looks like it's going to be wrapping up pretty rapidly. You can still see that there's several layers of things that are roped off, but over on the other side, you can see that the deck is still pulled away as they're working on the different pumps that exist under here. But this is coming together pretty quickly, friends. So it looks like we're going to have some clear shots of Rivers of America again. But over on the banks of New Orleans Square, we can see that there's still a lot going on. Let's slow down and zoom in so that we can look underneath the bridge that takes us over the Pirates of the Caribbean queue. When you look in there, you can see that it's just literally down to dirt. It's going to be very interesting to see how they relay out this space. Do they put back in trees for shade? Do they put in something more imaginative, like maybe a ripped sail of a pirate ship that would create shade, but also let you see the beautiful facade? And how are they going to run this? Now with Lightning Lane, is it still going to be two different lines? There's going to be one line that's like 80% of the space with a 20% pass around for Lightning Lane guests. Really interesting to see how they manage that area in there. But I'm telling you, more and more every week, I'm really enjoying the view of seeing that corner of New Orleans Square and seeing that beautiful facade. All right, let's look inside of our big three construction boxes. Not a lot that we can see happening in box number one. When we go up to the major one that really tapers out, that creates a pretty massive courtyard that they're working on, I did my work. I counted all the trees. No other trees have been removed this week. So whatever they're doing in there is obviously on a surface level as they're cutting back and reshaping the way that New Orleans Square operates so that it can handle the crowds, both for walking in the days and the crowds standing up on these stair steps to see Fantasmic at night. A lot going on over here. And this wrapped up. Yeah, look at that sick new roof. That's why I do this job, because you wouldn't know this happened if I didn't show you. Yes, thank you for my service. Look at this relic that was discovered over in front of World of Disney. This is something that's going to need to be replaced because it's now grossly outdated, because none of these buildings are here anymore. That's 29, 30, 32. I'm looking at you, kid. That's all gone. So eventually this will need to be updated. But let's go and look at this construction project. Not a lot to see from last week, but we can see that we're looking at the space between the Paradise Pier Hotel and the Disneyland Hotel, which has its own construction project going, the new DVC tower. And then let's go over to this little oddball project sitting over here in the corner of the Lilo parking lot. It's pretty interesting. I threw out that maybe this is going to be a sample of the DVC rooms that you'll be able to buy points for in the new DVC tower, completing the Disneyland Hotel with its fourth and final tower. And some of you seem to agree with me that this could be sort of a model, right? It does kind of look like it'd be a two-layer suite. So maybe one level would indicate what just a one-level suite would look like, and up to the second level. And that would also give the ability to put a balcony on there, so you kind of get an example of what it is that you're buying. But let's go back to the star of the western end of the Downtown Disney project, which is the removal of the AMC Theater and everything that was associated with that building. So we're looking at the Disneyland Hotel, the Fantasy Tower, and we're moving our way over, and look, straight ahead there, we're able to see Mickey and Friends, which suddenly makes this space feel so much smaller when the AMC building was creating that big divisional line, right? Like, we no longer can sort of feel trapped in here. We can kind of see it all, which makes it feel pretty small at sometimes. Now, I was able to look through the fence, not able to film over the fence. I don't break the rules, but I was able to look through the fence because it's sheer where they don't have the green tarps doubled up. And you can see here that the crane over on the right, that Volvo, is actually sitting on a pile of rubble. And then the second one is digging around in that area. Well, if we look over here on the left-hand side where the arrow's moving, they have dug a massive ditch in that area. I mean, it is very, very deep there, which would be here in our concept art, assuming that there's not a building in the middle. If it's a U shape, then this would be where they're digging really deep right now. Now, going back up to the top view here, on the back wall is where they're saving that wall from before. So that's the only thing that now remains, but everything else has been dug out into a massive crater. And this is where we're at over on the Lego side, or the eastern side. Now, somebody said they might keep that wall there like they kept the restroom over at Avengers Campus, because if you keep one piece behind, then technically it's a rehab and not a complete new construction. It'd be interesting to see if that is indeed what's happening here. But they are moving a lot of land around. Removal has been done, and now we're at the excavation process where we're getting the land sloped the way that we want for the next phase of construction. And all of a sudden you see that the Paradise Pier Hotel feels very close. This little area inside of the concept art looks like there might be a breezeway that would be able to take you back out over here to the soon-to-be, hopefully, Pixar Pier Hotel. So this construction project getting green lit now could really be about this little area right here, connecting downtown Disney to what we're hearing rumors about that's going to become soon the Pixar Pier Hotel. If they're going to spend money on the hotel, they're going to want to improve that. Now, no monorail shots because it was down, but that's the best we could do from the camera. Let's move over to the DVC tower because this thing is happening fast. Last week when I was there, I was able to see that they were starting to pour concrete. They had built this scaffolding, like this workspace, so workers could easily go across the construction project. And friends, 1 week later, look how much more rebar has been installed on this outer edge of the hotel. Now we're going to go back over to the concept art so you can better understand what are they working on. Well, they're working on this over here on the right. They're building this outer exterior wall that will then sort of block off the edge of the building for all of the hotel rooms that exist in the center of it. Now, when we look over at this staging area where they're walking back and forth across on that ramp, that is this area right here. See how this hotel has a breezeway where regular guests can kind of walk through. Then if you're DVC, you can go to the backside where all of the pool and special DVC only amenities will be held. So that area that they're working on zoomed up is this area, and you can see that it's largely really open. So all that scaffolding has been constructed so they can easily kind of go back and forth until they start to get their floors and everything in place. But wherever you see rebar right now, it's either going to be massive concrete walls or that stone wall that they're going to be building. So really fascinating to see this come back. See these right here? Those are going to be some of those more creek rock looking walls that will be on the bottom of the foundation. This is fun to watch. But I'll tell you what's really fun to watch is this, the progress on the sidewalk. Shout out to the Sidewalk Gang. Now we're going to break down now all the different techniques that have been used here on this sidewalk. First up, I'm noticing that they use, hey, where are you guys going? You don't want to hear about the sidewalk? Well, if you don't want to hear about the sidewalks, that's fine. But I'll tell you this, it was nice to see entertainment has returned to DCA. And I have a very special Easter treat for each of you. I was able to catch a very rare performance of the one and only, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for HALLEN. See you next week.
Nice one.